Thank you kindly for joining us. My name is Jerry Miller. It's a pleasure to connect with you across the I Love CVille Network, a show that is presented today by Pro Renata Brewery and Mexicali Restaurant and our friends at Charlottesville Business Brokers. Charlottesville Business Brokers, Pro Renata, and Mexicali have some things in common. They're locally owned businesses here in the Central Virginia and Greater Charlottesville area that are consistent with their leadership teams and how they go about conducting themselves. They have tenure, they have track record, they hire within the community, and they facilitate economic positive change for a region we call Central Virginia that's 300,000 people strong. Today's program, I think, is going to be quite good. I think it's going to resonate, today's show, with UVA alumni, with patients of UVA Health, with the University Physicians Group, with the Board of Visitors. We've been emailed by those around the board that have indicated they stream and watch the program. The Cavalier Daily has content and has coverage of a letter signed by 128 members of the University Physicians Group that are demanding the termination of the UVA Health's CEO and the removal of the School of Medicine dean. This letter is something that you can read for yourself on the Cavalier Daily website. It is approximately 4 pages in length. We're going to unpack it today and try to analyze what's happening. There is an old African proverb that has resonated with me for some time. And this old African proverb goes as is. When elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. I'll give it to you again. When elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. This old African proverb, the meaning is the weak get hurt in conflicts between those in power. And currently we have a power conflict of significant proportions at the University of Virginia from a number of different sides. We have a power conflict as it pertains to the current Board of Visitors, 13 of them appointed by conservative Governor Glenn Youngkin, and how they are looking to change the University of Virginia, in particular, how the university goes about its approach to free speech, to the legacy of Thomas Jefferson, the presentation of Thomas Jefferson's legacy to prospective students, how it approaches protest rules and regulations, how it goes about managing the honor code in either single sanction capacity or in a capacity of empathy that offers students a chance for leeway. Now the University of Virginia, which has found itself on the front page of publications for how it managed the early May pro-Palestine protest, where the Virginia State Police were called in by Jim Ryan in militarized capacity to disband what was an otherwise peaceful protest. Pepper spray was utilized. Arrests were made. Most of those arrests are now deemed inconsequential or have been forgiven by courts. Today, the University of Virginia finds itself in yet another public relations conundrum. And today's conundrum is due to a letter that was signed currently anonymously, and I'll talk about that, by 128 members of the University Physicians Group. To put the Physicians Group into perspective, there are roughly 950 to 1,000 members of the University Physicians Group. So when 128 of them sign, you're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of 13, 14, 15%. That is not a clip that should be underestimated or undervalued. This letter, in broad strokes, before I unpack it analytically and in detail, alleges, declares, claims, you choose the right word, that UVA CEO Craig Kent and Medicine School of Dean, we're going to go with the pronunciation, Melina Kibbe.
Yeah.
Melina Kibbe are ignoring and suppressing reports of misconduct, and the 128 members of the university physicians group are demanding the removal of the highest paid individual at the University of Virginia, Craig Kent. Now we know Tony Bennett is technically the highest paid individual, but a lot of his compensation, just like Tony Elliott, the football and basketball coaches, are for additional revenue streams like public appearances, radio shows, etc. The number one highest paid guy at the University of Virginia is Craig Kent, and the School of Medicine dean is in the third slot as the third highest paid individual at what is the most prestigious university in the Commonwealth of Virginia, one that has been billed by multiple publications as a new Ivy League school. This story is got so much to unpack. The letter, which again you can find on the Cavalier Daily, alleges concerns and egregious acts that should leave all of us, not only that live in Charlottesville or Albemarle County or in Central Virginia, but all of us that have any kind of character, integrity, any kind of empathy, any kind of clarity of thought. We should all have significant concerns if these allegations are in fact proven to be true. We'll unpack them on today's show. We'll unpack some of the aspects of the letter that we find most concerning, including utilizing promotions as leverage to maintain power and control, including the compromised nature of patient safety, a culture of fear and retaliation if you speak against leadership, the devaluing of academic standards, excessive spending on C-suite positions. Remember, a few weeks ago, the Cavalier Daily utilized Freedom of Information Act strategies and tactics to report the compensation packages of many in power at the University of Virginia. Immediately, what stood out to the community was the pay associated with the CEO, Craig Kent, and of course, the third slot, the Dean of Medicine, Melina Kibbe, Jim Ryan in the two-hole. What stood out to me the most on this letter, on page 2 toward the bottom, I will read it to you. Leadership at the University of Virginia Health System is disregarding valid reports of fraudulent billing and requests by senior leaders to fraudulently modify patient records in order to obfuscate adverse outcomes and boost productivity metrics. That's, if true, that's fraud. Mm-hmm. Disregarding valid reports of fraudulent billing? We'll cut to the chase what that means. Charging patients who are in need of care that could be on their deathbed or near their deathbed, severely injured, facing health crises, overbilling them for work done under your roof in your hospital and your care.
Yeah.
Then that billing pointed out by potentially patients and their families and corrections not made and or medical charge change to prevent medical liability.
Yeah.
And charts change to show a level of productivity metrics-wise to maintain a brand or a house of cards perception around the UVA Health moniker. That's what that means right there.
Mm-hmm.
We've heard, and the Washington Post has reported, that UVA Health has utilized aggressive collection tactics with folks who cannot afford medical bills,
Yeah.
like foreclosing on homes, putting liens on paychecks,
Like suing patients for $15 owed.
suing patients for money owed. We've heard from inside the corridors and hallways of UVA Health that nurses and frontline workers were treated as if they were indentured servants and not valued team members, in particular during the pandemic.
Yeah.
When frontline workers were asked to utilize paid time off,
Yeah.
or, hey, you're not going to get paid for a few months. Go do whatever you want. We don't care about you right now. There's no revenue coming in. Figure out how you're going to pay your rent, your mortgage, and your groceries. It's not on us. And then when they returned to work, because the revenue wasn't there, because our government chose to put us on lockdown, creating a sense of fear in all of us, telling us to stay at our homes and bypass elective surgeries and other check-ins with physicians that were needed to maintain our health. Revenue not there for hospitals. They were in the hole. They needed to make up the money. They bypassed raises and increased compensation measures for their staff that were at all-time levels of stress.
They also asked the staff to use paid time off to help them pay down what they called debt in terms of lost revenue. And then when they came back to work, told them they weren't getting a raise. And when people complained and they offered people a 2% raise a year later, by then, of course, that was essentially a pay cut.
Ladies and gentlemen, these are tactics of bullies, tactics utilized by backroom dealing and wheeling to maintain power and control.
I mean, just the fact that UVA is, what would you say, founded on a bed, a subsurface of honor, the honor code, and that's expected of 18, 19, 20-year-olds. And here we have, two leaders of the university who's, if it was one or even two of these concerns, it would be bad enough. But the lack of integrity is I think a seriously bad look for UVA.
Let's rotate the lower thirds on screen. I'm going to pick this letter apart that's been signed by 128 members of the UVA Physicians Group. I'm going to go to page 1, which you can find on the Cavalier Daily. Fantastic reporting by the student newspaper. The letter addressed to the rector and every member of the Board of Visitors. A few of the members on the Board of Visitors, two specifically, David O'Conkle and Stephen Long, are physicians themselves. The letter says, please see the enclosed letter signed by 128 UVA Physicians Group employed faculty. For security and authenticity, signatures were obtained via face-to-face interaction. There was no electronic dissemination. You know why they said that? Face-to-face interaction, no electronic dissemination. You know why that's the case?
I would think it was because they want to protect the signees.
That's specifically for Freedom of Information Act requests. If the letter was obtained in face-to-face capacity and not utilized through email dissemination or electronic dissemination,
There could be no FOIA request.
there's no FOIA requests. That is strategic in nature and is emphasized early in the letter.
Yeah.
Second paragraph, as indicated in the letter, the signatures are being protected from public disclosure. My only beef with the letter is that. I'll talk about that in moments. I'll continue, however. The letter itself remains open for more signatures. I will bet you, this is me adding some color, more of the members of the UVA Physicians Group, University Physicians Group will jump on board here.
No doubt.
Third paragraph, to protect the faculty, we will arrange for the exclusive limited audience name below to view and verify the signatures should this be requested by the Board of Visitors. If I was the Board of Visitors, this is me speaking, I would 1,000% need to see the names of the 128 that have signed this. I will continue with the letter. Ms. Rachel W. Sheridan and Ms. Porter N. Wilkinson, in their capacity as Chair and Vice Chair of the Audit, Compliance, and Risk Committee, Dr. Stephen P. Long and Dr. David O'Conkle, because they have both worked at academic medical centers and can understand the rank and specialties of those signing. Those are Board of Visitor members. UVA faculty expect the Board of Visitors to take measures to ensure there is no attempt by UVA Health leaders to retaliate against those who sign or are suspected to have signed this letter. Peer elected faculty leaders have been CC'd to ensure further accountability and governance. The Board of Visitors is now on notice of this urgent matter of patient safety and public concern. The letter continues. To the Rector and the Board of Visitors of the University of Virginia, we sign this letter of no confidence as ethical, principled, and dedicated professors and healthcare professionals committed to our patients, colleagues, community, and the University of Virginia in totality. It is our duty to protect the safety of patients and community, as well as the quality, welfare, honor, and reputation of the University of Virginia and our medical profession. Craig Kent and Melina Kibbe have not only undermined but also directly attacked the values that inspired us to study, teach, and work at the University of Virginia School of Medicine and UVA Health. Craig Kent and Melina Kibbe foster a negative environment that is contributing to an ongoing exodus of experience and expertise at all levels that contravenes our mission to provide excellent and safe patient care. This environment has led to egregious acts which must no longer be tolerated. Then the acts are identified: compromise patient safety, a culture of fear and retaliation, devaluing the academic standards of promotions and tenure, excessive spending on C-suite and support, failure to be forthcoming or significant financial matters, consistently violating the Board of Visitors approved code of ethics and the University of Virginia faculty handbook. This letter suggests that leadership is weaponizing a value system to maintain power and control, subjecting residents to bullying and harassment. It is a culture, according to this letter, of vulturistic venture capital leadership, squeezing every cent of profit possible out of a healthcare model that is clearly exploiting customers, i.e. their patients, in their most desperate time of need. I make the reference to vulturistic venture capital because these are the tactics utilized by an industry like that, not the tactics you normally equate to healthcare.
Physician, do no harm. And not only that, but the very top concern is compromised patient safety. pressuring physicians, nurses, and other staff to abstain from using the Be Safe process to report patient safety concerns, hiring doctors despite concerns regarding their integrity and the quality of their work. I mean,
fraudulently billing patients. And when that fraudulently billing element has been brought up to attention of UVA, fighting back saying, no, it is in fact the case, the right bill, and changing medical charts to ensure performance metrics.
yeah.
What the HE double hockey sticks is going on here?
And why have previous attempts to explain these concerns to higher ups why have those concerns been? It sounds like they've been scoffed at, from what I've heard.
Scoff might be the best case scenario.
Yeah, and
the worst case scenario is
retaliation for coming forward with concerns.
An even worse case scenario than that is retaliation for coming forward to concerns, then hiding the concerns, then punishing those who bring the concerns by denying them promotions.
Yep.
That is... I started the program with the proverb, when elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. You have the CEO and the School of Medicine dean on one side, mm-hmm. their upper and middle management on the other, the board of visitors atop them, and this triangle power struggle, mm-hmm. those in power, the elephants, a PR fight will only leave the patient and their family as collateral damage. The irony today, Forbes magazine has rated UVA Health number 40 overall among America's best employers for women and number 11 overall for health systems, with more than 150,000 women in companies with at least 1,000 employees surveyed. The irony of it all is the banners that hang across Jefferson Park Avenue by Student Health in the back of Cabell Hall, just off the rotunda, that tout the standing of the brand in the state and across the nation.
Yeah.
The Board of Visitors currently, I would imagine this would come up in a September meeting. I would imagine the Board of Visitors currently in their September meeting will be having the university guide service, and the fact that it's in negotiation with the administration to return in the spring potentially to re-give tours in a much controlled fashion as a topic on their agenda. I would imagine the protest rules and regulations are going to be a topic on their agenda as well.
No doubt.
We, the citizens of Charlottesville, we, those that bleed orange and blue, we, those that live in the region, we, those that have experienced UVA Health through the eyes of a loved one. We were there last week. I talked about it on the show. We had fantastic care when our 21-month-old son was in the children's hospital because he had a clogged tear duct. That clogged tear duct, 4 or 5 hours of surgery, the surgery about 20 minutes. We saw a level of pain for our 21-month-old as he came out of anesthesia, confusion, anger, pain that broke my wife and I's heart. We go into the billing department prior to the surgery. A payment strategy must be done. We're in a position, fortunately, of being able to have some health care, albeit catastrophic because we're self-employed. We have a bill that's in the neighborhood of $11,000. We had to go out of pocket after our catastrophic health insurance covered a portion of it, roughly $4,000. I'm now, after reading this story, wondering, should I have looked more closely on this $11,000 bill? Was the billing department at a time where we were concerned of our 21-month-old who was going under anesthesia, who was going to be taking from our care, who was going to an operating room, who was wearing a hospital gown, who looked at his mother in a way of scared and fear, like, why are you leaving me to these strangers in this sterile room that's cold. I have these tubes in my arm. I'm groggy and sleepy. And you're leaving me alone. A feeling of helplessness and vulnerability. A feeling that we both had. A feeling that clouded clarity at a time where we were asked prior to the surgery to pay in advance. You owe us roughly $4,000. Sign here. Clear us of any liability and pay now. Should I have looked closer on the bill? Or was I doing my best as the husband and father to hold my wife's shoulder, to hug my 21-month-old goodbye? How many will ask, or how many have asked, what are these charges, and are they authentic? You know what is one of the most potentially damning elements of a health system? When the patient loses trust in the system itself.
Yeah, no confidence.
When you lack confidence in the system itself at a time of your greatest vulnerability, perhaps, that you've experienced to that point of your life. And that's what this is. Especially as it rides the coattails and falls in the shadows of some of the Washington Post coverage with the debt collection practice of the health system for its outstanding bills with patients who can't afford them.
Yeah.
Now we are left with a PR element to navigate. And I ask you, Judah, and you, the viewer and listener, which element is most difficult? To navigate. Is it the element of freedom of squashing or throttling free speech? Is it the element of how Thomas Jefferson is portrayed and his legacy by tour guides? Is it the bloat of payroll and staff? Is it the persistence and the push to a diversity, equity, and inclusion realm that some are saying enough already? Is it the gluttonous nature of tuition, room, and board, where families of upper class, of middle class nature say, Jesus, it's $300,000 to attend the school for 4 years. My kid will never be able to pay that back. Is it the homogeneous nature of the student body, where it's become a body made up of wealthy, white students and their families? Is it the radically changing housing environment in the Charlottesville and Albemarle area, a gentrified housing ecosystem that is being pushed into expensive stratospheres because of a student body that is being admitted that can afford to pay $2,000 and up rents per month, and or parents that buy housing stock just so their students and their kids have a place to live for 4 years? Or is it a health system that is being alleged by 128 of its key personnel to fraudulently bill patients, disregard their safety, change their charts, hide points of concern, and if you don't toe the company line, you will not be promoted, you could be demoted, and you will be chastised? Judah.
Which is the worst?
That is today at the University of Virginia. a brand and institution that I love dearly. And that is today, the topic matter that men and women on the Board of Visitors will have to navigate in a meeting in September. My, oh my. When elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. I encourage you to read the Cavalier Daily article. The headline is titled UVA Health Faculty Demand Removal of the Health System CEO and School of Medicine Dean. The only issue I have with this letter is the fact that the signatures were not front and center.
Really?
The signatures not being front and center diminishes a bit of the credibility. Because the letter itself is saying the university is hiding elements of common practice, manipulating elements of common practice, disguising elements of common practice, fraudulently positioning elements of common practice. When you make claims like that, you do it in a front and center capacity, despite the potential retaliation and retribution. And when you have 128 colleagues, roughly 12, 13, 14% of the group, all on the same page, you have power in numbers. And that power in numbers offers protection from retaliation.
Maybe to some extent.
128 and counting. Do you think that number will increase?
Oh, I'm sure it will.
Me too.
And I think part of the reason it will increase is because of how they did this without giving up the names. I think that may embolden others to put their names on this, knowing that at least in the short term, they're safe from retaliation.
Okay. What's the number? What's the threshold that must be eclipsed for the names to be revealed?
What's the number?
25% of the physicians group?
Is there
30% of the physicians group? 50%? There's roughly 950 to 1,000 of them.
Yeah. But
If you get to half, do you reveal the names?
I don't know. Why would you?
Because it adds credibility to the movement.
But they gave the reason, and they gave who they're going to provide that
if
information
asked, we'll give it to the Board of Visitors.
Yeah.
But we're afraid of Craig Kent and the medical school dean. You're standing up against the retaliation. You can't stand up to the retaliation and the abuse of power by hiding behind an anonymous signature.
For now, they can.
And that, my point is, my only beef of what's happening here.
That's fair. I think that I would imagine that members of the Board of Visitors are probably making lots of phone calls to each other today.
I'll get to your comments here in a matter of moments, viewers and listeners. I was at a birthday party. I think I mentioned this. Did I mention this on the show?
Possibly.
First grade birthday party over the weekend. All first grade boys, roughly the same age. A few fourth graders there, big brothers of the first graders. One of the fourth graders a head and change taller than the other kids, was picking up very large inflatables that the kids were playing with, whacking some of the first graders with it, aggressively whacking them, face, head. Went to my son, saw it completely play out. I'm 50 yards away. Saw that our oldest, who's in first grade, was next. At that moment, I'm thinking through my mind, do I intervene?
Do I grab the BB gun?
Do I break it up? Do I pull it away? Do I say stop? Do I say no? And at that moment, I decided the approach of let them figure it out. I stood 50 yards away, watched the fourth grader pick up an inflatable that was larger than my 6-year-old and whack him once and then twice on the head. My parental instinct said, I need to jump in and protect. But for some reason, I stood and watched. I watched my 6-year-old said, stop that right now. Another whack, the third one to his head. I watched my 6-year-old say, I told you to stop that right now. I don't like it. The fourth whack of an inflatable, his face red. My 6-year-old blocks it with his arms, bull rushes him, pushing the inflatable down, knocking the fourth grader down. Inflatable now on top of the fourth grader, his back on the floor. And my son looked over him and said, I said, stop it right now. You didn't. The fourth grader got up, pushed the inflatable off his body, looked at my son, walked away. I could have interrupted that and kept it from happening. And maybe I should have. I did nothing, and I watched a little boy grow in confidence. We talked about it in the car on the way home. And I mentioned what happened to you and that older kid. And he said to me, he was bullying me. And I stood up for him. I stood up to him. And he stopped bullying me, and he knows I won't take it. And I said, that's how you handle a bully. Head on. A bully doesn't want to be bullied. I relay this story to the viewers and listeners, to you. If you're claiming in a letter that you are being abused, harassed, bullied, controlled, manipulated, leveraged, blackmailed, asked to do illegal tactics, risking your license, your career, your integrity, and you have the power in numbers, I ask that you sign it. You stand up to the bully. My only issue. Give props to the Cavalier Daily for this coverage, a student newspaper. Mm-hmm. I give props to the 128 members of UVA faculty, the UVA physicians group.
No doubt.
I question what the Board of Visitors is going to do next. There is clearly a number of public relations issues on the very near horizon.
Oh, yeah.
For the University of Virginia. Get to some comments here. It's from Deep Throat. Number one in the family. He says this, I'll tell you what, fellas. So many people who talk up Charlottesville as a retiree destination. They mention the access to world-class health care. This calls into question a bit, this world-class health care. In my experience, is the world-class moniker accurate? Seems like the low-profit stuff, like the ER, is just under-resourced. We've kept healthcare relationships in our prior home because we know we get access without nonsense, like 8-month wait for wellness checks and 9 months for colonoscopy checks. He says on the pay levels at UVA, how many times did we hear in 2021 and 2022 the draft zoning ordinance debate when it was pertaining to nurses? Nurses can't afford to live here, Deep Throat says. And it was blamed without any evidence, 100% on the housing market and because of zoning. And he says, now we find out that nurses could not afford to live here in 2021 and 2022 because they weren't getting paid, they didn't get raises, and their compensation was not adjusted to inflation.
And some of them were asked to work 20% or more less hours.
Viewers and listeners, I can assure you this storyline will dominate the legacy news cycle for days, if not a week or more to come. And then I guarantee you it's going to be a topic at the Board of Visitor meeting.
Oh, yeah.
I'll close and get off this topic by asking you this. Does the dean and the medical school, does the CEO and the medical school dean survive this brouhaha?
I certainly hope not.
What's that?
I certainly hope not. This guy had the CEO had a letter of no confidence written about him at his former position in Ohio. It's. I think it should raise questions how he got into this position at UVA.
Ohio State University.
Yeah.
Jason Howard on Rio Road. No direct knowledge of the allegations here, but I know if you defraud or break rules dealing with government insurance programs like Medicaid or Medicare, as your provider, you can lose your contract with these government programs. That is a huge hit to the bottom line.
No doubt.
Vanessa Parkhill, Logan Wells Colelo, and Ray Cadell, thank you for watching. Vanessa Parkhill, thank you for the positive words. We have 2 newspapers and a television station and a radio station currently watching the show. I could spend the entire program discussing this, but I will not, because for us to be the water cooler of conversation in a 300,000 person market, we have to offer content that appeals to everyone. And while I find this particular content vertical appealing in conversation, I find it appalling in its roots.
Yeah.
The next headline is one that I will spend 60 seconds on. I've been conversating with a friend of mine that's in the commercial real estate and development game. Yesterday and today about an interesting listing that is currently active, 606 Gillespie Avenue. This is right off of East High Street, right behind the gas station. Is it a Joy gas station on East High Street, Judah?
Is it a what?
Is it a Joy gas station that's on East High Street? Same side of the road as Riverside, kind of across of La Michoacana?
I don't know if it's a Joy. Wasn't it Sunshine? I don't know if it's changed names or...
Right behind the gas station on East Market Street. The asking price is $995,000. It's got a cap rate of 5.37%, a gross rent multiplier of 11.25. There are 6 units that are currently for sale. The lot is 0.26 in acres. It's a Class C building. The upside is not the 6 units. The upside is what could you do with the lot itself with its CX5 zoning. The upside is actually tearing the 6 units down and building density there. Do you have the topography or depth or access to get 15, 20 doors there? That's a Justin Shimp and Kelsey Shine question. Shimp Engineering. Does someone entrepreneurial, someone like us, someone like some of the investors that watch the program, consider making a purchase of 606 Gillespie Avenue, utilizing the rent rolls to cover the debt service for 18 months as you go through the permitting process for a much larger and more dense project, and then sell the upside after it's been fully permitted? I see an opportunity with that path. And then there's the path of most resistance and most friction, but potentially the most profitability. Buying 606 Gillespie Avenue, utilizing the 6 units to cover the debt service as you get permitting for much more density, developing that density yourself, and holding what could be 15 or 20 apartments in your portfolio for an extended period of time. Regardless if you're interested, let me know. The upside on 606 Gillespie Avenue is something that I find compelling because of the CX5 zoning, because of its walkability to the downtown mall, and because of the distressed nature of East High Street, what I have called the most underperforming stretch or corridor in the city of Charlottesville, a corridor that would be prioritized very quickly, that will change very soon because of its proximity to the Rivanna River, because of its proximity to the downtown mall, and because of its proximity to the heartbeat of Charlottesville. My DMs are open. And speaking of real estate, 2 other storylines for you. If you can get the chart that Keith Smith sent us this morning on screen, I'm going to spend 60 seconds, maybe 90 seconds, analyzing the first 8 months of the year in Albemarle County. I'm going to compare and contrast, thanks to the data provided by Keith Smith, data backed by the Charlottesville Area Association of Realtors, MLS, the first 8 months of year in Albemarle County, all housing types. Look at the screen, look at the screen, look at the screen. 1,113 units sold during the first 8 months of the year in 2024. If you compare and contrast the first 8 months of the year to every year from 2016 until now, you will see that this is the lowest amount of inventory sold in Albemarle County in that 8-year span. That's a great data set. The closest year is 2016, where there was 1,193 units sold, all housing types. 1,193 in 2016, 1,113 this year. That is a significant delta. To put it in perspective, during peak COVID, where the market was bananas, 1,574 units were sold during the first 8 years. And ladies and gentlemen, look at the bottom trend line. That is the trend line of median sales price. In 2024, all housing types, the median value, $535,000 in Albemarle County, a $37,000 uptick, Judah Wickower, versus 2023, first 8 months. Look at the trend line. 2016, Judah, from 2024, an 8-year period of time, you have seen Albemarle County median values jump from $337,000 in 2016 to $535,000 in 2024. I'm going to say it again to anyone that's listening to this program. If you think home values in Albemarle County, the city of Charlottesville, or most of Central Virginia are going to flatline or decrease, you are huffing glue behind the dumpster with your buddies that are in tattered tank tops and shredded jorts. It's not going to happen. Population is increasing. The work from home movement offers folks the opportunity to come to the Charlottesville and Albemarle County area to buy real estate with bags of Scrooge McDuck's money and work in their basement and their tighty-whities and their bathrobes while collecting paychecks from Northern Virginia, Manhattan, or major metropolitan employers. On top of that, student body is increasing at UVA, and the impact of the Amazon $11 billion in Louisa County, the Data Science School, and the Paul Manning Biotech Institute still have not been felt. Year over year, you're going to see flirtation with double-digit increases in values, in particular in Albemarle County and the city of Charlottesville. Write it down. And anyone who tells you that prices are going to fall or stay flat, push back on them immediately. And I'm going to close the program with two other topics as you come back to me. This is one of our bets, the Lewis Mountain neighborhood, 307 Alderman Road. Judah is now under contract. It was an owner agent right next to 303 Alderman Road, who's going to become what? 6 massive townhomes?
Yeah.
The price was cut. The house went under contract. Judah and I have a bet by close of business 2024. There will be 8 additional houses in Lewis Mountain that go on the market. Judah thinks that. I say, no way, Jose. We got a bottle of brown juice on there. Georgia Gilmer asked us about the Jack Brown's bet.
Oh, yeah.
After, was it yesterday's show or 2 days ago? We walked to Jack Brown's. Oh, I have some color I can offer on Jack Brown's as well.
Yeah, it was 2 days ago.
2 days ago. The bet was this. Jack Brown's, we both admire their business model. Aaron Ludwig, the owner of Jack Brown's, he's come on the I Love CVille show before during COVID via Skype. And we said we admire the fact that they have a business model predicated on little staff.
Easy food, lots of beer.
No waste. Produce, you don't see lettuce or tomato on there. And you see plates that are paper that can be thrown away. Not much labor. The bet was it 5 was the over-under?
Yeah.
If there was 5 people working on a Wednesday after 7 p.m., no one won. If it was less than 5, I won. If it was more than 5, Judah won. After the show, we walked to Jack Brown's. We spoke to the manager, and he said, after 7 o'clock on our schedule, there will be 5 people working. We walked out of Jack Brown's, and we said, we just spoke to the manager. He said, there's going to be 5. It's a push. No one wins.
Yeah.
Judah then proceeded to go to Jack Brown's after 7 o'clock.
I think I got there at almost 8 o'clock.
At 8 p.m., evidently the place was buzzing.
Oh, it was packed.
And ladies and gentlemen, there was more than 5 people working.
There were more than 5 people working when one of the other servers showed up, like probably 9:30. But we agreed that we were going to take the manager's word at the 5 and the push.
And while Judah technically did not win the bet, because we talked to the manager and said, and he told us there would be 5, and we shook hands as gentlemen and said, the bet is a push. I will say Judah, in fact, has won the bet and will purchase a nice bottle of brown juice for the studio bar that we can enjoy.
Well, thank you.
In
I'll be
spare time.
I'll be bringing it some company by the end of the year.
You don't know that. You could still win the Lewis Mountain bet.
I think it's almost...
You could still win the Lewis Mountain bet.
No, I could, but it's seeming less and less likely every day.
It seemed to me you like the Johnny Walker Black or the Macallan last time.
I'm not all that picky.
I offer a little color on the Jack Brown's business model. Jack Brown's, again, owned by a fantastic entrepreneur named Aaron Ludwig. John Blair asked on the program a few days ago, why are the price points different in Harrisonburg than Charlottesville? I found out that Aaron Ludwig owns the building complex where Jack Brown's and Billy Jack are located in Harrisonburg, which clearly offers him an advantage if he's the owner and his restaurants are paying him rent.
Yeah, no doubt.
Perhaps that's one of the reasons the price points are different, on top of the fact that the customer base is less affluent in Harrisonburg when compared to Charlottesville. I also found out that the owner has partnered with a guy that has taken 2 franchises to the point where they were sold to PE firms, private equity firms, and that the Jack Brown's model has not been able to grow like they initially anticipated because of the unique size of the space that Jack Brown's likes to pursue. And that's part of the reason why the Billy Jack's sister company was created, because it fits a more normal square foot plan. My colleague who gave us this color said, regardless, the Jack Brown's concept and the Billy Jack's concept are both doing quite well.
Oh yeah, I was at Jack Brown's again last night, and while it was not quite as bumping as Wednesday,
twice in a couple of days.
Yeah.
You got an eye on somebody working over there?
Not somebody working there.
Oh, you've got some dates lined up?
Nothing yet.
Okay, Judah, moving and shaking. I like it. All right, last topic today, and we hope you enjoyed the Friday edition of the I Love CVille Show. 7 o'clock Saturday night, ladies and gentlemen. UVA at Wake Forest. The Deacs, a 1-point favorite. You get 3 for playing at home. Vegas says Virginia favored to win this contest. The over-under at 55.5. You win this ball game and you're Virginia, you start 2-0, and you got the Terrapins at home in Scott Stadium with a chance to go 3-0 against a beatable Maryland team. Watch that game on Saturday night. For Judah Wickower, I'm Jerry Miller. It's the I Love CVille Show.